We are taught relentlessly that democracy and development are two sides of the same coin, that you can't have one without the other. This is presented as a universal law. But across our continent, we see a different story. A story of elections leading to division, of short-term policies, and of entrenched corruption. So today, we ask the dangerous question: is the Western model of democracy truly fit for the African context? The theory sounds perfect, right? I mean, democracy brings accountability. Accountability leads to good governance. Good governance attracts investment and drives development. But Africa's reality has been different. For a moment, let's take a look at the 1960s. Many of those post-independence one-party states, even if they had all of their flaws, delivered massive nation-building projects like universities, dams, railways. Some of the most reliable infrastructure in Zambia to date was built in the 60s. For example, the Kariba Dam, which until now comes up in conversations regarding electricity. Then came the wave of multi-party democracy in the 1990s. Was this a victory for political freedom? Absolutely. But did it trigger the promise of economic boom? For many of us, the answer is a frustrating and complicated. Not really. So then, what happened? The problem isn't the idea of democracy. I think the idea of people having a voice is fantastic. The problem is with its application. This brings me to my first core argument. In our current system, we don't have leaders. We have what I like to call career politicians. And there's a world of difference between the two. Think about the Zambian election cycle, which is 5 years. What happens the day after a politician wins an election? They don't settle into office to start the hard work of development. They immediately start calculating how to win the next election. They are in a state of permanent campaign. And this creates a tyranny of short-termism. So in this case, what do we see getting funded? The visible quick win projects like painting a school, distributing desks and laptops if we're lucky. Things that we can see and quickly begin to appreciate. Not the deep systemic reform of the entire education curriculum. We get a mosaic of populist gestures, not a coherent strategic blueprint. They are playing a game, and the development of our nations is becoming a casualty. This leads to an even darker consequence. The system doesn't just fail to stop corruption. In some cases, it actively incentivizes it. Think about it. If you know your time in power is limited, maybe you have one term or maybe even two, and you know that the system is about political survival, a pervasive logic sets in. It becomes a loot and live mentality. The calculation becomes, I may only have 5 years to secure my wealth and the loyalty of my supporters for when I'm out of power. This leads to embezzlement, awarding of contracts to relatives and friends. It also fuels ethnic patronage, where state resources are not for national development, but for rewarding of your electoral base. Corruption stops just being a moral failing. It becomes a rationale for political strategy. So then, do we abandon the principles of democracy? Absolutely not. I mean, accountability, representation, voice, these are non-negotiable. But do we need to abandon the current model? I think we have to. We need to ask, what core principles do we want to achieve? And what systems can we design to get us there? What if key ministries like finance, infrastructure, health are led by appointed non-political technical experts chosen on merit, not party loyalty? What if we had a national cross-party 20-year development plan that is legally binding and insulated from the whims of every new government? Imagine a system with fewer, more structured political parties, perhaps just two major ones, The core focus of every election campaign would then become which party has better, more competent strategy to implement the nation's agreed upon 20-year development plan. This would be a game changer. But to achieve this, the people would have to also be educated on this development plan so that they can become judges of policy and not just followers of personality. They can focus on which party has more potential to actually deliver the blueprint, moving us away from what we see today, where people are just voting for the most charismatic campaigner. Fewer parties mean clearer accountability and less fragmented, divisive politics. Additionally, what if we radically decentralized power so that decisions are made closer to the people and accountability is direct and visible? What if we reimagined elections themselves? Longer single terms to eliminate re-election campaigning. The current model of democracy too often gives us weakened leadership, short-term thinking, and systemic corruption. It prioritizes political survival over national development. Rethinking Africa is not about having all the answers. It's about daring to ask questions that we've been told are off limits. And now I want to hear from you. Do you think democracy is working? What alternatives have you seen or even imagined? Do you disagree with me? I want to hear that too. Let's have a productive debate in the comments. See you next time.